There comes a moment in everyone's life when they feel stuck. A moment when nothing seems to move forward. When every effort feels useless, and when hope slowly begins to fade. In those moments, many people do the only thing they believe they can do. They pray. They pray for their situation to change, for their pain to disappear, for their problems to magically solve themselves. I was one of those people. I spent nights asking for a better life, asking for strength, asking for a sign that things would get better. I believed that one day, something outside of me would change, and suddenly my life would become easier. But what I did not realize at that time was that the answer to my prayer was not waiting somewhere in the future. The answer was waiting inside my own mind. One day I had a realization that changed everything. I prayed for change, but I was still thinking the same way, acting the same way, and making the same choices every single day. How could my life change if my mind stayed the same? That realization hit me deeply. I understood that sometimes we are waiting for the world to transform while we refuse to transform ourselves. We expect new results from old habits. We hope for success while continuing the same thinking that kept us stuck in the first place. That is when I decided something powerful. If my life was going to change, the first thing that had to change was my mindset. I stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What can this teach me?" I stopped blaming people for my problems and started taking responsibility for my actions. The moment I changed that one thing, my perspective, everything around me began to feel different. The problems were still there. The challenges were still real. But I was no longer the same person facing them. Changing your mind is not easy. It is one of the hardest things a person can do. Your mind is filled with years of habits, fears, doubts, and beliefs that were built slowly over time. Many of us grow up hearing words that limit us. People say things like, "You can't do that," "You're not good enough," or "People like you never succeed." Over time, those words become part of our thinking. They become the voice inside our head. So when we try something new, that voice reminds us of every failure, every mistake, every reason why we should give up. But the truth is that voice is not your destiny. It is only a story you have been repeating for too long. The day you decide to rewrite that story is the day your life begins to shift. When I started changing my mindset, I noticed something interesting. The same challenges that once felt impossible began to feel like opportunities. Failure stopped looking like the end of the road and started looking like a lesson. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that I should quit, I began seeing them as proof that I was growing. That shift in thinking gave me a kind of strength I had never experienced before. Because when your mind changes, your relationship with difficulty changes too. You no longer run from struggle, you learn from it. Many people spend their lives waiting for perfect conditions before they take action. They say they will start working on their dreams when they feel confident, when they have enough money, when everything becomes easier. But perfect conditions rarely exist. Life will always have uncertainty, obstacles, and moments of doubt. The difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck is not luck. It is mindset. Successful people understand that they do not need perfect conditions. They need determination. They need discipline. Most importantly, they need the belief that they are capable of becoming better than they were yesterday. Changing your mind also means changing the way you talk to yourself. Your inner voice has incredible power. If you constantly tell yourself that you are weak, you will begin to believe it. If you repeat that you will never succeed, your actions will slowly prove that belief true. But the opposite is also powerful. When you begin telling yourself that you are capable, that you are learning, that every effort brings you closer to your goal, your mind starts to support you instead of holding you back. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is easy. It means choosing a mindset that pushes you forward instead of keeping you trapped. Another important part of changing your mind is letting go of the past. Many people carry old mistakes like heavy chains. They replay failures again and again, believing those moments define who they are forever. But the past is not a prison unless you decide to stay there. Every successful person in the world has failed at some point. The difference is that they refuse to let those failures become their identity. They use them as lessons instead of labels. When you change your mind, you begin to see the past not as proof of your weakness, but as evidence of your growth. There will still be days when doubt appears. Even the strongest mindset is tested sometimes. On those days, it is important to remember why you started this journey of change in the first place. Remember the pain of staying the same. Remember the frustration of feeling stuck. And remind yourself that progress is always better than regret. Small steps forward may seem insignificant at first, but over time they create massive transformation. A single positive decision, repeated every day, becomes a powerful habit. And powerful habits build powerful lives. Another truth I discovered is that changing your mind changes the way you see other people as well. When you are filled with negativity, the world seems full of enemies and obstacles. But when your mindset becomes stronger and more positive, you begin to notice opportunities, supportive people, and moments of gratitude that were always there, but hidden behind your old thinking. Your perspective shapes your reality more than you realize. Think about the most successful individuals you know. Their lives were not free from hardship. Many of them faced rejection, criticism, and failure before achieving anything meaningful. The difference is they refused to let those experiences control their mindset. They continued learning, improving, and pushing forward, even when progress was slow. They understood that growth is not instant. It is a long process built through patience and consistency. One of the most powerful lessons I learned is that discipline becomes easier when your mindset changes. When you truly believe in the person you are becoming, you naturally start making choices that support that vision. You wake up earlier. You work harder. You stop wasting time on things that do not help your growth. These actions do not feel like punishment. They feel like progress. Your mind begins to understand that every small effort is an investment in your future. Gratitude is another mindset shift that creates incredible change. When people focus only on what they lack, they feel constantly dissatisfied. But when they start noticing what they already have, the ability to learn, the chance to improve, the opportunity to try again, they discover a new kind of motivation. Gratitude does not mean ignoring your goals. It means appreciating the journey while you continue moving forward. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to change is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of leaving the comfort of familiar habits. But staying the same also has a cost. It costs you your potential. It costs you the life you could have created if you believed in yourself a little more. When I realized this, I understood something powerful. Fear will always exist, but it does not have to control my decisions. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. As time passed, the transformation became clearer. My circumstances did not magically become perfect, but my ability to handle them became stronger. Problems that once overwhelmed me became challenges I could face calmly. Opportunities that once scared me became chances to grow. And all of this started with one simple decision: to change my mind. If you are listening to this and feeling stuck in your own life, remember this message. You do not need to wait for everything around you to transform before you start moving forward. The most powerful change you can make begins in your thoughts. Change the story you tell yourself. Change the beliefs that limit you. Change the way you respond to difficulty. When your mind grows stronger, your life begins to expand in ways you never imagined. So if you ever find yourself praying for change, remember that the answer may already be within you. Sometimes the transformation you are waiting for is not something the world will give you. It is something you must create by shifting the way you think, the way you act, and the way you see your own potential. I prayed for change, and the moment I changed my mind, everything started to change with it.